Well, this is the Felder D951, where the D stands for damn, and the 951 stands for I've got no idea, but I want to give you a quick tour and show you how it was installed.
The Wood Whisperer is sponsored by Type Bond.
Early in my teaching career, I had the good fortune of working at the William Ing School in California. William has an awesome Felder planer straight knife version that would leave just absolutely glass smooth results. It was so fun to use that I have lusted after one of those things ever since. Well, the move to Missouri kind of created an opportunity to try some new machines, and this is one that I have always wanted. And I'm like 45 now. I'm figuring that's in that territory of midlife crisis, whereas some people will go buy a boat or a motorcycle or a sports car. I buy a planer. And in fact, full disclosure, I did get a discount on this, but I did wind up paying a sizable amount for this machine. Now, normally I would say this is a bit overkill for someone in my position, but here at this location, we're also going to start selling lumber, and I'm going to need to process some of that lumber here. So that's my justification for it. You may not buy it, but it's all good. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys a quick tour of the installation process with this thing, and here's why. This is actually a three-phase tool, and I don't have three-phase power here in the shop. So if you're a home woodworker or a small shop woodworker, you may be in a similar boat where you're like, I want that three-phase tool, but how do I power it up? Now, please understand, I'm not an electrician. I have to get pros to do this work. I recommend you do the same, and my explanation of these things may be lacking because this is a layman's perspective. That said, let me show you what we had to do to get this three-phase beast installed and working in my shop.
The story of this planer actually begins well before my move, in Denver, when I took a tour of a shop that featured Felder equipment. The tools were nice, but forcing Mike Farrington to make a cameo? Oh, hey Mike.
Oh God.
Priceless. After seeing the tool in action, I placed my order. Now that was back in April, so the delivery time on these guys is pretty substantial, but I like to think it was worth the wait. The tool arrived with a shipping weight of, I believe, around 1,200 pounds. Oh, and in case you don't already know this, you should always inspect your freight before signing for it and letting the driver go. If there's any damage at all, you should note it on the ticket and take pictures. The manufacturer will then have some recourse if they need to file a claim. Don't make the mistake that I've made in the past and just assume that there's no damage. Thankfully, this thing didn't have a scratch on it. To get it off the pallet, it's recommended that you have some additional muscle. Thankfully, Jason has access to that muscle, and we were able to get the tool back into the shop without much drama, though watching it bounce around on the forks like that makes the butt pucker a bit. And because I need to wait for the electricians, I'll use this thing as a really expensive planer stand. So the electricians eventually got there and started hooking up the phase converter. Now, if you want a full explanation of what a phase converter does and is, you've come to the wrong place. But I can tell you that the system has two components, a control box that gets mounted to the wall and a big motor that we're keeping on the floor.
That's a lot of wires.
Power comes into the control box, down to the motor, and the motor generates the third leg and then sends the three-phase power to the planer. To get the power there, we're actually going up and over, utilizing the attic, and having a power drop from the ceiling.
That's quiet.
Now that we've got power, we can actually open the lid and take the protective paper off the Cutterhead. And what a Cutterhead it is.
There it is.
Felder calls this the silent power cutter block, and just look at all those inserts. It's crazy.
A lot of toofuses.
Late that night, the electricians finished up and we gave the planer a quick test.
Ready? Oh. Yes.
Bam! We got juice! So to make the system compatible with my dust collection, I 3D printed a new fitting. The other one was metric, and this just makes it a lot easier. Thanks to the folks on a particular Felder owners group for sharing this file. Of course, the bed needs to be cleaned and waxed, which Jason does a fine job of.
Greasy. And that was just from wiping your face?
Me and that beard.
Greasy beard. I'm still all snotty. It won't go away.
Get away from me. Let me fix your lens for you.
So now for the tests. First up, heavily figured maple. We'll test for cut quality and accuracy. On the first pass, I can actually hear that telltale crackling noise that lets me know that we're getting some tear out. On most planers, it is what it is, but the Felder has a speed control, so by dialing it down, we increase our cuts per inch, resulting in a smoother cut. The final pass we took on the machine was set to 1.28 inches, and as you can see with the calipers, it's dead on.
There it is.
Not only that, but the cut quality is immaculate, and it just has kind of a hand-plane feel to it, with zero snipe. Now let's plane some walnut just for fun.
So we're looking at about 2 inches. just a little under 2. So let's call this, let's do 1 3/4. Turn that off, I can't tell if it turned off. Running. All right, give it a try. There's no snipe.
No.
Absolutely no snipe at all.
This is an offcut from a recent project, and while I didn't initially intend to be so wasteful, I got a little bit carried away trying to see how deep of a cut we could take with this thing. Look, things happened, mistakes were made, and we didn't stop until we were left with a 1/4-inch board.
Okay, we're done. Stop it.
It was something of a Thelma and Louise moment.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here real quick to remind you guys that Caleb James' Danish cord bench course is still on pre-order, but only for a couple more days. And if you're really not sure, you don't know what the Wood Whisperer Guild is all about, well, I'm going to invite you to our watch party. It happens this Thursday. We're going to put a link and all the information in the description of this video if you want to check it out. But it's your chance to see a full episode from this course so you can see what you're getting into before you make that purchase. We'll see you then.
So I thought you guys might be interested in seeing how quiet this thing is. For reference, the miter saw reads 96 decibels. Sander with a dust extractor reads about 94. Jason drilling with the hammer drill reads 106. Yikes. So the phase converter alone, pretty darn quiet at only 65 decibels. And then with the planer on, we're at 75 decibels, and it'll get slightly louder under load, but not much. So yeah, relatively quiet.
So hopefully that gives you some idea of one option for getting a 3-phase tool into a shop that only has single-phase power. There are other ways. Look up something called a VFD. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know it can be added to some tools to get that 3-phase power there as well. And special thanks to Felder for helping me out with this thing. And I'll tell you guys, I am super excited to just run boards through here. That might be the big danger, is that I'm probably gonna waste some material because it's so fun to use. But I look forward to getting this going on my future projects. Thank you so much for watching as always, and you guys take care. See you next time.